Hello and welcome to Den of Fools. My name is Fox and you're watching the 40k Stats Show. Let's jump right in. In week 48 of 2022, we have had 76 tournaments with a total of 1,584 players and 3,323 games played. This week, Necrons and Chaos Space Marines have the most wins with 10 victories each. Tyranids are close behind with 8 wins, followed by Orcs with 7. Sisters and Custodes have 5 wins each, with Mixed Chaos Lists and Thousand Suns having 4 wins. We start to see a lot of factions get a win after this, but a special mention to the Leaves of Votann, who are just above the rest of the pack with 3 wins. Chaos Space Marines have the most top 3 finishes with 21, but this time they're joined by Tyranids, who are still one of the armies to beat. The Loyalist Space Marines come next with an impressive 20 top 3 finishes. We will have an in-depth look at how the chapters are performing later on in the video to see which chapters are getting into the top 3. Chaos Demons are next with 18 top 3 placings, followed by Necrons, who have an impressive 10 wins from their 16 top 3 placings. Move on to win rates for all factions, with the win rates being much closer this week, with only a 5% range given the top 10 factions. Chaos is still performing very well, with Demons top of the win rate with 53.9%. This is closely followed by Mixed Chaos Lists with a win rate of 53% and Tyranids with 52.9%, just edging out last week's best win rate, Thousand Suns, who got 52.8%. The stats show there are many factions competing to be top of the win rate, with Thousand Suns coming down to a more reasonable level. They must have had a good week last time. Time to give a special thanks to our resident stat guru and Ultramarine fanboy Fearless Fox for collecting and interpreting all the data. Here we have part 1 of the full army stats for a total of 23 declared factions. There are a lot of stats on this page, so you might want to pause the video so you can see the stats for your favourite faction. If you're enjoying our content, we'd be super grateful if you could please subscribe to our channel to help us grow. And don't forget to press the notification bell so you never miss one of our weekly stat shows. If you think we can make any improvements to our videos, or there are any more stats you would like to see, or you just want to add to the discussion, comment down below. Up next, my favourite section, my weekly roundup. We have taken the data from all tournaments on Best Coast pairings between the 28th of November 2022 and the 4th of December 2022. If you want to see other datasets, such as more sub-faction breakdowns, let us know in the comments down below. Having said that, in my opinion, using all tournament data gives a great insight into how well an army is performing in Matchplay 40k, whether you're playing at your local store or at a GT. Chaos Demons got the best win rate this week, with 53.9%. And as it takes us a long time to collect and interpret the data, we don't look at individual army lists, we just take the declared factions of the player as the faction played. Therefore, we don't know in particular what flavour of Chaos is doing best. However, I do know that a Thousand Suns list, with Zeech Flamers in support, won the Leicester City Super Major, a 240 player tournament, which is obviously a great achievement. I'd enjoy the success while it lasts, as GW themselves have already hinted that Chaos Demons will get a retune in the next chapter of Prove, which is coming around January. Adeptus Mechanicus really struggled last week, with the lowest overall faction win rate, with 25.4%. Even with a very low win rate, they managed to grab a tournament win and 3 top 3 places. Even so, I would imagine that Admet will get a boost in the next chapter Approved, as they're one of the worst performing factions. Rather unsurprisingly, the Space Marines are the most played faction, with 50% of all players taking Space Marines, with a colossal 966 total games played. We perhaps have the best data to assess how well Space Marines are doing, as so many games have been played. They managed a win rate of 41.1%, which is the 3rd worst win rate. I wouldn't fear, however, as rumours suggest they are likely to receive a boost in the new year. The least played faction was World Eaters, with only 1% of players choosing to run the White Dwarf supplement. Only 13 players took World Eaters, who are struggling with the 2nd lowest win rate of 32%. They did manage to bag 1 tournament win, however, and I'm sure they'll have a turnaround when their new codex is released. All 23 factions won at least 1 tournament this week. It is important to remember we take results from small tournaments, such as 8-player tournaments, so there is a lot of opportunities for a faction to get a win. 8 factions managed a single tournament win, which surprisingly includes the Tau Empire, who managed to get 14 top 3 placings, so came close on many occasions. They were also the most played faction of the 8 who only got 1 win, with 78 players taking Tau. This of course means that the Space Marines managed to get more than 1 tournament win, which we'll explore next in our Space Marine chapter breakdown. You might expect, Space Marine players usually always declare their chapter of choice, with only 11 players out of 230 where the sub-faction is unknown. The glorious Sons of Sanguinius again are leading the way, with the Blood Angels having the most players, best win rate, most top 3s, and both tournament wins for the Space Marines. Overall, the Space Marines are still struggling with a win percentage of 41.1%, with the Raven Guard only managing a win rate of 19.2%. No wonder they are considered one of the poorest performing factions in the game. They were the worst Space Marine faction this week, with even Fearless's favourite Blue Boys, the Ultramarines, on 38.5% win rate. To make Fearless feel a bit better, I've got him a Raven Guard Battle Force for Christmas as a reminder the Ultras are not the worst performing Space Marine chapter. This week, most Chaos Space Marine players' sub-faction is unknown. But of those known, the Emperor's Children are still proving to be the best performing sub-faction, with a 51.8% win rate and an impressive 7 tournament wins. The other known warbrands are not faring quite as well, with win rates below 50%, but with an overall win rate of 48.8%, and the joint most tournament wins and top 3 placings, they are still performing better than the Loyalists. Remember, in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium there is only war. So we'll be back next week with more stats. Thank you for watching.